the network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
This is EdTech, episode 33, recorded Tuesday, January 6th, 2015. Golf shorts? This is EdTech, the monthly look at the education segment of the AV industry. My name is Tim Albright. I am your host. With us is Mr. Ernie Bailey from beautiful UAMS in Arkansas. How are you, sir?
Tim, I'm doing just great.
Awesome. Greg Brown from UCLA in Los Angeles, California.
Beautiful sunny Southern California. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about the weather today. Greg's
77
like, oh, Lord. See, I said we were going to talk about it. And Mike Tomei from Ithaca College. How are you, sir?
Good. Just trying to stay warm.
See,
it's sunny,
yeah.
But it's 16 degrees. So.
16 there. I think Ernie's, 20 or 30?
Yeah, somewhere in between.
I'm like 19.
And sunny.
Yeah.
Greg has golf shorts on. So
right.
Yeah. We love Greg. We like Greg.
Wait a second. I have to wear pants doing this show?
Okay, then. On that note, let's just kick this off right. It's our first show of the year. So, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's to you guys.
Off to an auspicious start.
We are indeed. Just where we left off, actually. Actually, kind of where we left off. Let's talk about projectors. This is the week that the home entertainment and the consumer electronics segment of our industry kind of gets together. And some people pay attention to CES in the AV world. Some people don't. I particularly do, because a lot of times it forecasts, honestly, where some things are coming down. One of the more interesting things came out of CNET yesterday. Epson has debuted a sub $400 projector. Say what? And we can talk about what you guys' preferences are, but here's the quick specs on this. First of all, it's not quote unquote HD, right? So let's start there. But it is under $400. It is 3,000 lumens. It does a 10,000 to 1 contrast ratio for $379. Now, Greg, we're going to start with you on this. One thing that education folks know about Epson is they have something called Brighter Futures, right? And this is not a commercial for Epson, but they do have something called Brighter Futures, which gives significant discounts. When I left education as a tech manager over a year ago, I was getting 3,000 lumens actual HD projectors for, let's just say, under $650 a pop, right? So is this forecasting, sub $500, sub $400 for education folks, Greg? And if so, does that give Epson maybe a leg up over, Panasonic or some others?
I mean, let's cut to the bottom line. It's freaking VGA. I mean, it's 24. No, wait. It's 2015, and I think I used this line last year. So again, we're off to a good start. Yeah. I think last year I said, friends don't let friends install SVGA projectors, and
Amen.
if you're a tech manager, if you are a higher ed tech manager, what the hell are you doing considering installing an SVGA projector? Turn your membership card in and go away. You're making us all look bad. Install. I mean, not to disparage Epson. They are cheap. I don't know how they do it. They're cheap and they last a long time. We had a bad experience with them, but in retrospect, I think it was the control system company kind of lying to us, basically. Not to put too fine a point on it, but you shouldn't be putting in SVGA projectors.
All right.
No.
So and again, this is from CES.
Who is still using? I mean, we're debating whether or not we still have VGAs on laptops. Who has VGA outputs? Who has an SVGA laptop still?
Oh,
I mean, everything out there is at least 1024 by 768.
But okay, first of all, you're coming from UCLA land, right, where you have all the money in the world.
And like I said before, we are busy dog paddling in the technological backwaters compared to most higher ed universities, I'm sorry to say. And I mean, and we're still not even installing SVGA projectors.
All right. Ernie, to you then, Greg's point aside, is this something that would be interesting?
I have no interest in this for the same reason as Greg. I'm not going to put in. Yeah. I mean, we're putting in 1080p projectors everywhere we go. We're not looking at anything less. I find them affordable and reliable. We are talking with manufacturers about what we'd like to see on the next version of them. But I have no place for an 800 by 600 projector in our situations. As far as this article goes, it does point out that it has a gaming mode built in. It's designed for the home user, and if you're running games that are at that low resolution, go for it. But don't bring it on my campus.
Besides, with as much trouble as we have holding on to projectors in our corner of the world some days, you want to hang something with a gaming mode? It's like,
what they don't know.
Hello,
it's
here's
not like
something
it's
even more attractive for you to steal.
It's not like it's marketed and has Call of Duty colors on it. I mean, this is not. I mean, what was it? A few years ago, Xbox came out with a Call of Duty version. And it was nothing more than the colors and the color scheme of Call of Duty at the time. So, Mike, you can be the last one to beat me up about this. Is this something interesting?
No, I mean, yeah, the resolution doesn't make it suitable for classrooms on our campus. I found it funny that it was described as suitable for backyard movies, which really kind of defines where it's going to be used. Just a cheapie to use around the house, maybe. But nothing that we would install because of that resolution. Yeah.
The 3,000 lumens is what grabbed me, and obviously the $400, the less than $400 price is also what grabbed me.
It's bright, but the brightnesses are just going up faster and faster all the time.
All right. Actually, something else that you said. Do you really have a problem with projectors walking away still?
Knock on wood, no, not our group doesn't. We use I wish I had one here. We use a special little tamper-proof screw from Magard. It's a custom little pattern that you have to buy the fasteners and the drivers from them. They're like $2 a piece, so you end up putting like $20 worth of fasteners in a mount. But knock on wood, we have not lost anything that we've done that to. A couple of the other departments on campus I know have lost quite a few projectors in fairly regularly.
Okay.
Because they just put the normal screws or don't even get me started about the mount companies that give you the little pinned hex and call it a tamper-proof mount. Yeah, tamper-proof if you're too lazy to run down to Home Depot and buy yourself a pinned hex driver and come back and steal the projector.
Yeah.
Well, and then you've got other folks who've got, they run basically what's a relay wire between, or you've got.
We didn't have that option.
Okay. Or then obviously a padlock, on the different mounts. So, yeah, I was curious. All right. From avnetwork.com, Midori Connolly wrote a piece about mobile apps for the life of a stager for her particular use, but it got me wondering about apps in the education market. Ernie, we'll start with you on this one. When it comes to where we're going, with whether it be control or wireless video and sharing content, how do you guys manage allowing? I guess the best way to put this is allowing students and or professors access via apps. Is it something where you say, hey, here's a QR code, go download this, or is it another one where it's like, no, that never happens. We don't allow the students to have anything near that ability.
Well, as far as having the apps in the room, we do not give the students or the faculty the apps for our control systems. We do write for the iPad app with our Crestron systems, but that is more for my staff to be able to stand in the back of the room and take control or manage it if they need to. But no, we do not provide the apps to the students. Now, they were talking about what type of different apps maybe as a techie can you use if you want to go that route. And, we all have little sound meters on our phones and light meters and rulers, if you will, tape measures, digital tape measures, things like that. Those apps we find very applicable, even a level on your phone, as far as what on the tech side of it, but as far as allowing the students or the faculty, like I said, we don't put it on their devices.
Okay. Mike, to you, do you allow the students or the other faculty, access via the different apps?
No, not for the control systems. They have to be using the touch panel in the room to control it. If they're using something like Crestron's Air Media, they're going to need an app, or a similar device. They're going to need an app on their device to use that, maybe. But no, we wouldn't give them access to the control systems. Okay. But I found the article pretty interesting. There were some good suggestions for apps that AV professionals would use. I've been on a big kick recently with time tracking, because I really wanted to see how I'm spending my time designing systems during project management, times. And it's really interesting. I've been using an app called Office Time on my iPhone, and I just every hour I kind of log my time, and really discovered I'm spending a lot of time doing certain tasks that I thought were really quick, but aren't. So
that could actually be quite telling. That would be very interesting.
Yeah, and to really figure out, okay, how long does it take me to design a system and go through certain project management tasks, and takes a lot longer than you think once you see it on paper. So it's interesting.
Also helps you in the future when you start planning out your days or your weeks. To know in the back end, hey, this takes me X amount of time. It does.
Yeah. If you think, I only need a half an hour to run to the room and do this task, you probably don't. You probably need to increase it, and you're going to get behind.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah, so it's been pretty good.
All right, Mr. Brown, to you. Do you allow anyone access via apps?
No, we don't have anything like that running now, right at this point.
All right. Do you have access? I mean, do you guys don't even use? Do you use Fusion?
We are trying to kind of get our head around Fusion. We are running two systems in parallel right now, and slowly moving in that direction. And we just rolled out 3 more rooms here over the break that we just hooked up into Fusion, but it's not really doing much other than sort of existing and giving us some very, very basic information.
Okay, all right. From Higher Ed Tech Decisions, they had an article about passing mass notification tests from the client standpoint, and I wanted to get your guys' take from a technology manager's perspective. We've talked about this before, both in the systems you guys use and the holes that are in them. Greg, what do you expect? You've famously said that your guys' mass notification is a giant, bullhorn.
The voice of God.
Yes, the voice of God. Thank you.
Let me do my impression again of our
yes,
voice
please.
of God.
Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly what it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've said before, our running joke is they'll start doing that. We won't be able to understand it. We will all run outside to try and listen to see what the announcement was, and it'll be like a shooter on one of the buildings, and he'll gun us all down.
Maybe that's the strategy. I don't know. So anyhow, from your perspective, what would you like to see? Maybe not besides the voice of God.
I was thinking we've been talking a lot about this, and there are clearly some people who are doing some neat stuff and know what they're doing, and there are clearly a lot of people who are fumbling their ways around. I mean, it it very much reminds me of like the digital signage world in higher ed about 4 or 5 years ago, where lots of people were doing stuff, but nobody really knew what they were doing. This is I wonder, we'll find out whether we've got anybody listening in Fairfax today, but this is an area that is really ripe for a guideline of some sort. I don't see it. I know
How do
there's
you do that, though? I mean,
eligibility standards out there, and I'm not talking about a standard because I don't think we're really there yet. But to sit down with a group of people who know what they're talking about with this and put out some sort of like, here's what's out there, here's what works in different situations, to sort of, rein all the cattle into the same fields, ever so slightly. I think would be a really useful sort of thing. Everybody's kind of charging off in different directions, it sounds, at this point. I'm sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, it's a good avenue to go down. I'm gonna bring in the I almost said veteran, but that makes him sound old. He's not old. The person who's been involved with Infocom longer than me. How about that, Mr. Bailey? Is this something that Infocom should tackle? And if so, how should they do it?
Well, we had these discussions many years ago at Infocom. As you pointed out, I have been around a while. But most of the people that I've talked with, at least when we were talking about it early on, do you really want your AV system and your AV people involved in this, or does it need to go a different path? And I really think it belongs more in the security area of the campus. Not saying that we shouldn't bring our expertise in and help them get quality audio, video if we're going to anything like that, but it's more than just the AV systems, because you're dealing with text messaging, working through learning management systems such as Blackboard, and that's discussed in here, the outside paging, all that, and you really need a coordinated office, and we have that here on our campus, and we've worked through it very methodically, and I think we have a very good system. One thing they talked about in this article was, when you're setting up your system, test it, and we tested on a weekly basis for several weeks all the different aspects. We started out with the outdoor. We have the big speakers on the tops of buildings at each end of our campus, and we notify the neighborhood whenever we're testing, so they know about it, so they don't go into a panic mode, because it starts out with a siren and then an announcement. But we had people standing inside and outside, and we would test it, and everybody would then gather our notes together, and we would try to tweak it, and then exactly 1 week later ran the test again, and we did that for multiple weeks, both the outside system, the inside, getting response when we tried to send text messages, things like that. But I do think they need to be customized for each campus. Once again, I think the AV side needs to provide expertise, but I don't think this belongs in the AV world. I think it belongs separately. But, I do like Greg's idea of having some guidelines from Infocom on how to work with the mass notification people, and how to bring our expertise in, how to share what we know, and, as opposed to having 8 ohm speakers in this area and 70-volt speakers there, and horns pointed away from the campus instead of back into the campus. If you're using digital signage, how do you do that? How do you make it standard? How do you get the signal routed? Things like that. But as far as running it, it needs to be outside of the AV world.
Yeah, I would agree with that too.
Okay.
Not really something we want to be directly involved with.
All right. Mr. Tomei.
There's liability there too.
Well, there is. You
want to think about that. As if you allow me to go just a little bit longer, we did talk about when we were putting in what is our newest building. Is about 8 years old now as far as classrooms. We were going to tie the mass notification system, which we were just really getting into at that time, into the sound systems in all the rooms that had any type of speech reinforcement. But we had some long talks, and if the system's off but students are sitting in the room, they're not going to get the announcement at this point. So how do you what do you want to do? So we actually put a separate set of speakers in classrooms that bring the mass notification into the rooms so they can hear it. But it's on a emergency backup power system, and we worked on where to put the speaker and how to have it where everybody can hear it, but it doesn't interfere with the placement of the speakers for the the classroom and all sorts of things like that. So like I said, we've worked with them, but you have the liability, and if you hook it into your AV system, then your AV system has to be on at all times, and just all sorts of things like that came into play.
Okay. All right, Mike, from your perspective, is this something that you guys should have, or is this somebody else's issue entirely?
No, I agree that AV shouldn't own this project, but it would be great to have guidelines written as far as AV's involvement in the whole mass notification, so that we can hand it. I mean, there's so many contractors that are involved, different contractors. When you look at all the different mass notification systems, it'd be great for some guidelines that we can just kind of hand other people, saying, okay, this is our involvement in the whole scheme of things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, and as long as we're plugging guidelines,
jeez. Yes, Mr. Brown.
How's that for a segue?
That is a professional. I'm surprised you didn't go to Broadcast Center.
AKA the point where Greg hijacks the show again.
Yes.
We have a new Infocom standard that has now been released. The AV and IT Infrastructure Guidelines for Higher Education is an official Infocom guidelines, an official Infocom publication.
Yay.
It's not a standard, though, right? It's a guideline.
It's not a
guideline.
standard.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, God forbid we could have agreed on any of that material in a standard type of form. No, it's basically how to design and build teaching spaces without killing everybody else in the applicable party.
Yeah, those are good things, You don't want to kill everybody.
Yeah.
How would one go about getting this guideline?
It's on the Infocom website, and beyond that, I can't. I have followed the link that they have that they sent out. They're going to be published, or they're going to be talking about it more here. I think they've only sent out a couple of emails about it, and I've just followed the link. But I'm sure you can find it by going to the website and searching for it.
All right.
It's going to be in the standards and guidelines section.
Okay. Very good. Next up, this is something, and I'm just going to ask you guys your opinion on this. This is from thejournal.com. According to a market research company called Gartner, they're saying that tablet sales are slowing down, and this is going to be kind of wrapped into another article about how you guys manage the students bringing in their own devices. Mike, from your standpoint, first of all, have you seen that trend? I mean, are the students coming in, bringing in fewer tablets, and are they using more? Their article goes on to say that typically what they're using now and what they're seeing in increases is still mobile devices, right? Where it's more handheld as opposed to the bigger form factors. So are they kind of splitting away and going back to the computers, and then also handheld, or also kind of phone devices?
I mean, I don't have any scientific, findings on this one, but I think if I was just to guess, I see students more often with a laptop and their phone, and then faculty will come in with most of the tablets that we have to use in the classrooms. So yeah, I don't see students using that many tablets really. It's mostly laptops that they have if you look around the lecture hall during a class. Okay, so if that's the case, and that's also what Gartner's research tends to say. Yep. How are you guys as tech managers managing getting all these devices, whether it's a tablet from a professor or back to talking about getting students information from a laptop or a cell phone onto a screen? Is this proprietary stuff or is this open source stuff? How are you guys doing it? That's like the $1 million question right now for us. There's just no magic bullet that covers all the different operating systems and devices that we can put in a room. Just one box that's going to get signal up to.
There are
the
several
projector.
companies who will tell you there are.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then you start picking around, and not quite the case. Lack of features, that sort of thing. You know, you can do it through wired connection. Everybody wants wireless, so everybody wants it extremely easy to use, and so we're right in the middle of trying to figure out, okay, you know, if we're going to put 2 boxes in the room to cover all devices, what are they going to be, and can we do this and support them? It's not easy.
Well, can you do it? And also, you know, you mentioned putting 2 devices in. Well, then you're talking about 2 different sources, right?
Yeah.
And then how do you switch that? I mean, do you make the professor, who, God love them, they have, you know, more degrees than I will ever have, but sometimes getting them to understand, you know, the interface is sometimes difficult. So
yeah, and you have software solutions, you have hardware solutions, you have combinations. I mean, it's you could research it for a long time. We just really need to kind of jump in, and we've done it with a couple Apple TVs in the rooms, and we have Air Media that we're testing these days. But yeah, there's just no real magic bullet that's going to cover everything. So, yeah.
All right, Mr. Ernie, from your perspective, first of all, you know, is this something that you guys are investigating? One thing I like about Ernie's campus when I visited, he has a lab room, I guess is the best way to put that, Ernie.
Yeah.
Where they bring in technology, right, and they test it out in a working
we call it our live lab.
Live lab. That's it.
It's a classroom that has never been, because of its location and its weird shape, it's always been the least popular classroom on our campus. It's a good size room. It'll seat about 60 to 70 people. And we don't have a whole lot of rooms that size, so people get stuck in there occasionally just because of the size of their meeting. But it's an easy room for us to get to. It's close to our help desk. And it's got easy ceiling access. It's got a little alcove in the back where we have our AV rack. And if we're trying something new, we put it in that room and see how it works. And I have had a couple of instructors figure out that they get the newest technology if they move in that room. So the whole class is in there. But if I need a room that I can have blocked off for a week or two, I can usually get that one without too much trouble. So we can have time to go in, put something in, test it. And if it works, then we can deploy it elsewhere. And we did start out, that was the first room we put Apple TV and Air Media. We're putting both of those in any of the new rooms that we're designing right now. That seems to cover what our faculty are asking to be able to bring into the classrooms. Right now, most of them are bringing an iPad or an iPhone if they want to do something wireless. We have a few that got their feelings hurt because we were supporting the Apple TV before we started supporting the Android devices. And it was one of those deals. We were working with Crestron and others, you know, looking at the Air Media. The first version of the Air Media we didn't really like, and we, you know, told Crestron up front that we didn't like it. And a few weeks later, they came out with some upgrades, both hardware and firmware, and it was a much better device. And like I said, we started deploying it. But if an instructor or a student needs to give a presentation from a wireless device, we give them access to either one of those. We have them. I do not put an Apple TV or an Air Media in a room that does not have a true control system in it. So we can put it and, you know, label it on the touch panel. The instructor can hit a button. They have to learn Apple TV and Air Media because we're not giving them a generic name or a multi-step button. They have to push that particular source to call it up. But those that want to use it are going to recognize one of those two names. If they're bringing an Android device, we show them and teach them how to use the Air Media. Those that are bringing an iOS device in, generally a lot of them know more about the Apple TV settings than we do.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, Mr. Greg Brown from UCLA. Is this something that you guys are investigating? If so, what are you guys doing for connecting the students and the professors' wireless stuff?
I'm sorry, Tim. I was busy checking my email here on my brand new tablet.
Oh, jeez.
Hey, if I have a tablet, it's clearly a dead technology.
Yes, that is true.
And I have a brand new tablet. I have a new smartphone too. I got rid of the old Droid, the old spring-wound Droid 3 I had for
Yes, but does it plug into your 8-track player?
I gave away my 8-track player many years ago, and I've always regretted that. She dumped me not long after that.
Jeez.
Too, so it was a double loss.
It was.
Look at it. Anyway, what was the question?
Wireless.
These wireless devices.
Wireless video.
Actually, I'm working on a blog post on this very subject. No, it's something we've talked a bit about. I'm going to try some wireless control in another departmental space, just running off of running their app to control a system in another departmental space, but not something we've tried yet in any of our rooms. So. Like I said before, we have just now pretty much convinced people that we should have Wi-Fi in all of the classrooms.
Well, that's a first step, though, isn't it?
Yes. So that's beginning to happen finally, and they're literally just sticking them on the wall. It's the stupidest looking thing. They come in and they hang the access point on the wall and plug it into the data port there on the wall. It's just crazy. Wow. I can't imagine they're not going to start walking away at some point. But no, not something we're doing. And I would be curious when when you guys are putting in these devices, you are not, I assume, particularly here with the Apple devices, you are not plugging them into the campus network, are you? Or you're keeping them on their own subnet? How are you handling the access of those?
We have our Apple TVs on wireless network, and they have a separate wireless ID that they use. And yeah, they're on the wireless network right now, and we only have a few deployed. It's just kind of a test.
Yeah, so where can you get to? Is that an input on the system? Can you what can you get to by connecting up to that?
Yeah, are you talking network access or video output? Yeah, so the users still have network access on their device, but and then we have Apple TV connected just through HDMI to our switcher.
So all it's doing is physically connecting back up into the system. So it's an input. It's not, you're not allowing them to use it for, as like a media player, like the way it's kind of intended or anything like that.
They still have access to it. On the touchscreen, they have the controls so they can navigate the menus on the Apple TV, and typically they'll just mirror their device to it. Yeah. But right. They could access the menus in it and all the different features.
You're not storing anything on them or using them in any sort of way like that.
No, not at all.
It's basically just it's an access point for Apple devices.
Yeah, and we don't support any of those other features on it other than the mirroring aspect. We're not going to, if they call up and say they can't use the YouTube app on the Apple TV, we say that's not supported.
So. That's what I'm hearing.
We're the same way with ours.
Okay. Yeah. I was curious. That's what I've been seeing out here at some of the universities and colleges that are playing with them. But I was wondering if anybody was doing anything, a little bit crazier with them.
That's the problem with it. It's not really built for professional use. In the home, it's fine. But you can't really lock it down. It's IR control, so we have a little IR emitter glued to it, and
okay. That's what you're doing.
Right. And so it's pretty wide open if somebody really wants to change a lot of settings on there.
All they would disable would be it, basically.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Okay.
Ernie, I've got a question for you, because the one thing that I've run into with talking to some folks is whether it's Air Media or Nova or whatever wireless system we're talking about, they all seem to require some sort of download, right? Is that a hindering point for you guys when it comes to the Android? Obviously, with iOS, it just you see the Apple TV and it just kind of seamless, which is the selling point of Apple systems and of Mac-based systems. But is that kind of a sticking point for you guys? Is they have to go through 2 or 3 steps?
It has not been yet. We don't have a whole lot of users who are using the Air Media. Like, we're using the Air Media. Yes, there is an app you need to download. I have not had anybody have any issues with it. Those who wanted to use it. That's all I'll tell you is we haven't experienced any issues yet.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious because that was one thing that I've run into is some of the pushback on some of the faculty that in some of the colleges. So.
Yeah.
All right. Last story here. We go to Greg's neck of the woods. This is from.
What did I do now?
Not you personally. This is from our friends across the pond at the BBC, talking about virtual reality. And the story is actually about virtual reality and news. Actually, it's at the USC is where this lab is, and they are taking news clips and stuff like that, and they are projecting people into various news instances and doing it through virtual reality. One of the things, though, in the article or in the story, they start talking about interfacing with other people via virtual reality, and it may be a stretch here, but where my brain went with this was talking about things like Oculus Rift, and this other the new up and coming VR setups that people are putting out there. They're lower cost. Is this going to supplant our VCs, or are they just too cumbersome because you've got to put on glasses and this, that, and the other? So Greg, we'll start with you since it's just down the road from you at USC. Is VR gonna get rid of or kind of take the place of the traditional video conference or even stuff like this, or is it just kind of down the road?
Think about all of your most recent video conferences. Do you want to experience any of those people in VR?
Oh, jeez. Okay.
No, I mean, look, we already went through building our $1 million, video conferencing centers, only to have everybody switch over to these damn $30 cameras sitting on top of their computer. You think we're gonna? No. Okay. It's a niche thing, just like 3D, like any sort of simulation type thing. And I didn't even notice it was at USC. I mean, I was thinking it was a neat idea, but if you see USC is doing it, is obviously, pretty stupid. It's going to be a niche thing for simulation type stuff.
All right, Mike. Same with you. Is it just kind of, flash in the pan or just kind of niche stuff?
I would say flash in the pan probably. It's funny. I see virtual reality kind of like 3D, where it gets popular every 20 years or so. 3D in the 50s, the 80s, 2000s. I remember back in the mid 90s, Nintendo released a virtual reality hood that people would wear to play games, and it bombed, and nobody purchased it. So
kind of like the glove.
Yeah, exactly. It seems a little like flash in the pan. I think Ithaca College is well known for our communication school, and I know our journalism students are doing kind of a tamer version of this with Google Glass to kind of try to use Google Glass for more like immersive gathering of news. That I could see maybe having a little more basis in reality, but the virtual reality thing, that looked a little far stretched.
All right.
So, yeah.
Ernie, last to you. Is VR gonna replace VC?
I don't see that happening. Right. I have to agree with Mike and Greg on that one, all the way down the line. I mean, it's there, it's fun. I don't see it as serious, and I don't see it as hanging around very long.
It'll fill in the hype gap between 4K and 8K for a year or two, while we all upgrade our monitors.
Yeah.
See, I don't think it's that. I don't think there is going to be a gap. I think it's just going to go from one to the other, and because they're already broadcasting in 8K.
Yeah, but how many 4K monitors do you guys have?
0.
You guys have anything in 4K?
Yeah.
No.
I've got some 4K switchers.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, we all have some.
They just came in.
Some 4K switchers.
Yeah.
Have you installed them yet, Ernie?
Yeah, we've installed some of the new DMPS3s over the last 2 weeks. So.
That's I'm going to be interested once we start pushing video. One of the things that we are looking at from a design standpoint is, Greg mentioned it, going from 4K to 8K, and he kind of said it tongue in cheek, but in all honesty, do you hold off because of the lead time on design? Do you hold off speccing the switcher for 2 or 3 months and say, you know what, this building's not going to go online until the end of 2016? When's the last moment I can put what switcher you guys want in here? So that's always interesting. All right, Mr. Ernie Bailey, that's going to do it for us. So, Mr. Ernie Bailey, thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Glad to. Had a great time.
How can people get a hold of you?
LinkedIn is best bet.
All right. Also, Mike Tomei from Ithaca College. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And where can people find you or Ithaca College?
Well, they can find me also on LinkedIn, probably the easiest way. Okay. And Ithaca College is ithaca.edu, which is ITHACA.
All right, very good. Yeah. And last but not least, the gentleman in the golf shorts, Mr. Greg Brown. Thank you, sir.
Oh, never mind.
Yes.
Hello, thank you. Yes. LinkedIn also. LinkedIn also. AV Greg and Infocom All Voices blog if I get off my butt and start writing again.
All right. And how can people join the Technology Managers Council at Infocom?
I don't think I'm. We'll have to talk about that next time. I don't think I'm it anymore. I think that responsibility has fallen off the sunset now, and I'm a free man, and I can tell you what I thought of my time as Technology Manager Council Chair.
Well, we'll have to talk about that.
Actually, it's not official yet. I think I know who the next person is going to be, but
is it Mike?
It's not anybody here on. No. Not anyone here as part of this group.
Not me.
I think we're all too smart for. But,
or we've done it.
I was going to say, or you've done it.
Yes, or we've done it. Yes. So
we'll
have to talk about that next time. Maybe I'll know something next time.
Well, at least a couple things.
Yes, if you're a technology manager, there's an Infocom Technology Managers Council. So you go to the Infocom website, search for it, you'll find it. There's a way to apply, and it has a lot of potential.
It does. It does. And you get free breakfast at Infocom, or lunch or dinner. Depends.
Dinner the last 2 years. We got rid of that damn morning meeting, and we've been meeting after the show on Wednesday afternoon, which has worked out much better.
That was a good reception.
Yes,
I'll vouch for that.
Which has worked out really well. So
that was fun.
It was Scott's idea, I think, but I think it really came together here these last 2 years.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, and it was a good idea just to kind of get everybody together. So. All right, don't follow me or don't find me. Just go by the website if you would. AVNation.tv, AVNation.tv. You'll find this program and a host of others. We have our next AV Crosstalk coming up in about a week or so. And oh my goodness, you don't want to miss it. Let's just say that we have two powerhouse women of AV battling it out with a very interesting moderator. It's going to be one for a while. That's all I'm going to say. It'll be a good one. But you'll find that program and a host of others. You can also sign up for our newsletter. You can do all sorts of things. Read the blogs. So yeah, avnation.tv, avnation.tv. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching. This has been EdTech.